I should say that with this weather, it seems there are some heavenly forces working against us because we were not supposed to have this heavy rain. So, but there are things in life we can't control. So you will forgive us for not being able to have a better weather. Also, I want to say something about the sitting arrangements. These are alphabetically ordered, and it's not ideological, left, right, center. So please have that in mind. I'm truly happy to have succeeded finally to bringing such a select number of prominent scholars here. But I must confess that it hasn't been a very easy thing to do. I was not new to organizing international conferences, but this one in particular provided many challenges. So there was some cancellations, but still I'm really grateful that you all made an effort to be here, particularly those of you who come from very, very far places. I am totally, really joyful because you are here. In any case, the sweeping waves of demands for democracy that have moved millions of people throughout the Middle East and the so-called Arab Spring constitute a remarkable turning point in the modern history of the Middle East. But what comes next is, of course, something that is not still known, in my view. The complexity of the forces at play, and in particular, the swift turn that the revolutionary moments are taking in favor of Islamism makes us, or at least some of us, wonder if the Arab Spring is turning into a dark winter for people, progressive people, and in particular for women. Surely the 1979 Iranian Revolution and the relative ease with which dreams of a democratic movement turned into a nightmare cautioned major players in the Arab Spring. The military, the Islamists, the foreign powers, and business classes played their cards differently in this round. And there is no question that there is no turning to the past in these revolutionary moments. However, those of us who lived through the memorable years of Iranian revolution hesitate to get into celebratory moods prematurely. In any case, we hope that your analysis of the complexities of over a century of struggle for democracy and social justice in modern Middle East and North Africa, and reasons for people, successes, and many, many failures would alert us, would be identified by your analysis, and would alert us to the possibility of perhaps the rise of perhaps a mightier force or authoritarian regime in place of those that have been fallen. There are some logistic issues that before I can discuss, I would like to ask the Provost of York University, Professor Patrick Monahan, to open the conference.
Well, thank you, Haideh. Let me first of all congratulate you and Saeed for conceiving of this conference and bringing these people from around the world together here at York University. And it's a great pleasure and an honor for us to be able to host this very important conference examining the developments that have occurred and what may well occur in the future in the Middle East. I would echo Haideh's comments in two respects. First, the events of the last 18 months in the Middle East are clearly of tremendous significance in terms of the region, Middle East and North Africa, where we have had, after decades of current regimes that have continued in place for many years, suddenly breaking apart. And the potential, a year ago, it seemed, for a fundamental change in the direction of democracy. But as Haideh mentioned, I think that a year later, now there is a much more sobering sense of the challenges and the difficulties. And we see here that the transition from authoritarian regimes to genuine democratic ones is an extremely complex and difficult process. And it is one, quite frankly, that I don't think we really understand fully how it occurs. And if we did understand that, of course, we would be able to bottle that and send it around the world and advance the cause of freedom and democracy for peoples around the world. But we don't have that secret. And I think it would be my observation as an academic, and seeing many of these different issues debated in different aspects, not just about the Middle East, but that as academics, it is sometimes attractive to propose simple and clear analyses of complex events. And to, as academics, as scholars, to say, well, this can be explained based on these considerations or these factors. But the realities are that events are much more complex because people are much more complex. Events are shaped by people. Institutions are shaped by people. And so what we do know, I think, is that nothing is predetermined. The future is still to be shaped by the people who are there in the Middle East, obviously. But I think that this event, bringing together people from these different perspectives, is a very important one, because it will assist us in, first of all, understanding what has occurred and what might occur, and how potentially things could develop in certain directions that we might regard as more advantageous than others. So I will not be able to stay for the conference, but I wanted to, on behalf of the university, welcome everyone, to thank you for coming. And I anticipate that these discussions over the next few days will be quite helpful and important ones. Thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Martin Singer, Dean of Faculty of Arts and Professional Studies. Dr. Singer is my immediate boss. Dr. Singer.
Thank you very much. I don't think Haideh Moghissi has a boss other than internally. But I think before I start, since Haideh is a very close friend of mine, I'm going to offer some friendly criticism before our provost leaves the room. I would have given a slightly different introduction. It's true that he's here as provost, but our provost is the former dean of the leading law school in Canada and one of Canada's leading constitutional experts. And so I think that is very relevant, actually, to some of the discussion that may go on here today. So meeting him, I think, and perhaps having a chance to correspond with him in the future, which I'm sure he's grateful for my mentioning that, he would be an interesting person as a resource person for the future. So this is a friendly comment. What can you say about Haideh Moghissi? Don't get in her way. Saeed, is this correct or not? Yes, if Haideh decides she's going to do something, just watch out. During the period when I first became dean, she was an associate dean for international and external relations in the faculty, and I paid a lot of attention to what she had to say because I worried what would happen if I didn't pay attention. And she was frequently correct, although her most common comment at meetings that we had about this new faculty we were creating, she would become frustrated, then astonished, and eventually she would say, "Isn't this just common sense?" Which was her most frequently used phrase. There's a lack of common sense. So how does this relate to this conference? Very much, I think. You know, I'm towards the end of my career, certainly, probably past the end of my career. And I was calculating that this September will be my 49th September on a university campus. So I've been at this for a long time, either as a student or a professor. Now, when I was a student, there were a number of very serious givens in the world. These givens were remarkable. My generation decided to challenge just about every one of these givens. There was a Cold War. There was a Soviet bloc. In the United States, where I originally came from, there was absolute segregation, especially in the southern part of the United States. There was this completely totalitarian and unknown regime in Asia, China, which nobody could get into and nobody knew anything about. All those givens, one after another, Berlin was divided with a wall. People died trying to climb over the wall. Now, how many of those givens remain today? History tells us nothing is impossible. Nothing is forever. China today, when I first went to China 40 years ago, when I got in 42 years ago, as soon as you entered China, you disappeared because there was no communication between China and the outside world. Today, by many accounts, China is one of the leading capitalist countries in a Marxist garb in the world. The Berlin Wall isn't there except as a tourist attraction. The former Soviet Union has disappeared. While there is still racial discrimination in the United States and also in Canada, it is much less of a factor than it was. And then we have the Middle East. Yeah, this is from a personal and a professional point of view, I'm so frustrated by the Middle East because I know that there are solutions over the horizon. I know it's none of my business what they are, but I know there are solutions. And we are trying very hard at York University to facilitate those solutions. Saeed Ranama, the lieutenant of Haideh Moghissi for this conference, as I understand it, the lower lieutenant, he told me. He has an award-winning class on war and peace in the Middle East, a fantastic class, which the Provost and the President and I have attended, where he actually tries to work through, much in some of the ways that this conference is, but without all these perspectives. He tries to represent all of you. Does a pretty good job, I think. And come up with dialogue. Teach people to hear each other, not just speak on different things, but hear what other people are saying. Now, Canada is not a perfect country. We are not preaching democracy here because we have plenty of faults. But Canada's, as an immigrant to Canada myself, I can say I think Canada is a pretty good country. And it has learned some lessons from its past. It was not very nice to Chinese and Japanese origin Canadians during World War II. It wasn't very nice to Jews who tried to come in during the war. There were all sorts of exclusions against all sorts of people. But Canada's recognized that and overcome it. It hasn't done so well with First Nations, Aboriginal groups. It's trying. It's struggling. But it's aware and self-critical. But I think Canada is a country that could host such a dialogue and hopefully be a scene for exchange of opinion. I just sent 4 of our students to Palestinian University in Israel for a week with Haideh and Said to try to promote that understanding. We're expecting visitors from there to come here, all in the name of dialogue. So, as a dean of what I think is the largest faculty in the country, I'm giving you all an assignment. Do the best you can, not only to speak clearly, but to listen to each other. Identify what you think are the issues and what you think are possible options or directions for the future. I say that with some degree of authority because I've been invited to the reception tomorrow night and I'm expecting to be here, and I will find out just how much progress you've made, and that will determine any comments that I may make then. But I can't tell you how pleased I am that Haideh Moghissi, a Trudeau Fellow, of whom we're very proud. Trudeau Fellow is a great distinction in this country. There are only 4 named at any given time. We hosted that event here last year. She is a very distinguished colleague and a very significant scholar, as I'm sure most of you know. So I wish you the best. Not only am I counting on it, but you know, as a historian, especially as a China specialist, lots of things happen that start in university. The entire Chinese Communist Party started at a Beijing University in a room in the library. All sorts of dialogues that have happened in universities in China, Japan, the East Asia, the area I know best, have ended up in political, social, and economic change. The students, some of whom I see here, they are the future. They're going to listen to you most carefully and hopefully shape this future. So I extend to you my best wishes and my hopes for success. Thank you very much.
We have a brief, actually, address by Dr. Jamshid Behnam. It is really my pleasure, indeed my honor, to introduce to you Dr. Jamshid Behnam as the friend and colleague of a long time. Dr. Behnam was the founding president of Farabi University in Iran, professor and dean of Faculty of Social Science at Tehran University, deputy secretary general of the World Council of Social Sciences in Paris, and professor of sociology at the University of Paris, René Descartes. He has also held senior executive positions in UNESCO. He is the author of numerous books in French and in Farsi on demographies, sociology of Iran, family structures, and modernity. That is something that is very close to his heart. He was among the very few scholars recognized as a founder of modern sociology in Iran. And I'm inviting him to say a few words in French, of course, Dr. Behnam.
Je voudrais tout d'abord féliciter à votre nom l'organisateur de ce colloque, Haideh et Saïd, et leurs collaborateurs, et le remercier de nous avoir invités une fois de plus dans cette université et avec une organisation pleine de savoir-faire pour une organisation. Nous commençons notre colloque dans une ambiance mondiale de révolte, de colère, mais aussi dans l'espoir. Qu'est-ce qu'est le Moyen-Orient? C'est une région géographique une ère culturelle. Le Moyen-Orient, c'est l'unité et la diversité. C'est un ensemble de l'ancien et de moderne. Depuis le commencement du XIXe siècle, le mot d'ordre dans beaucoup de milieux est au changement. Bien qu'il n'y ait pas d'unanimité ni sur la nature du changement, ni sur la façon dont il faut l'effectuer, et ni sur le rythme selon lequel il faut procéder. Dans sa version, c'est à partir des années 50 que le processus de modernisation autoritaire s'est développé dans les pays, d'abord en Iran et en Turquie, et puis dans d'autres pays du Moyen-Orient. Dans une version classique, la théorie de modernisation a une structure essentiellement bipolaire. Elle oppose la société moderne à la société traditionnelle. Les nations occidentales sont modernes, tandis que les pays du tiers-monde sont traditionnels. Les différentes versions de cette théorie admettent la possibilité d'accélérer les changements souhaitables grâce notamment à l'aide étrangère, au transfert de technologies, de la réforme des institutions, etc. Après l'échec général des politiques de développement des années 60 et 70, fondées entièrement sur la considération économique et visant à aider les pays du Sud à rattraper les pays industrialisés, un concept nouveau, la dimension culturelle du développement, a émergé au cours des années 80. L'étape suivante, c'est la période de résistance à la modernisation autoritaire, octroyée par l'État et d'en haut. Idéalisation de l'Occident donne sa place à la diabolisation des pays occidentaux et de la culture, même de la culture moderne. La révolte contre la société, définie comme une maladie, et le rejet des régimes militaires, autocratiques et théocratiques prennent des formes violentes, démonstrations dans la rue, guerres urbaines, etc. Malgré les incidents de parcours, la révolution, la guerre, le Moyen-Orient continue sa modernisation et aspire à la modernité, se formant en longue durée, un mouvement souterrain, caché, mais décisif. La modernité se forme et se dit à partir de ce qui effectue en profondeur, en mouvement de fond, le travail d'une société et d'une culture. Le mouvement de fond est ce qui correspond à la modernité et le mouvement de surface, ce qui correspond à la modernisation. La modernité s'inscrit derrière ces éléments objectifs. Elle touche l'âme, les attitudes, les regards. Elle touche les rapports sociaux et surtout la vision du monde. Ces processus sont difficilement réparables. La modernité est un commencement sans date, sans fin. Elle se déplace vers les techniques, l'économie et l'école moderne, mais elle n'est ni l'un ni l'autre. Elle est ce qui découle d'eux. Le comportement d'accès à la modernité se développe désormais comme une démarche individuelle. Et depuis une vingtaine d'années, nous sommes témoins des signes précurseurs d'une modernité originale. L'apparition de nouveaux acteurs sociaux, comme les femmes, comme les jeunes. La baisse de la fécondité, facteur très important pour la modernité, passant de 6,4 enfants à 2,5 enfants en 10 ans. La réflexion des jeunes et leurs discussions à propos de postmodernisme et à la déconstruction des idéaux de la modernité. Avec les événements actuels du Moyen-Orient, nous sommes au commencement d'un ère nouveau. Ils correspondent en émergence d'une modernité radicalement autre, une modernité métisse. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes témoins de la volonté d'une jeunesse qui cherche la liberté et qui est convaincue que la démocratie et le développement sont les deux piliers de la modernité et que la révolution et la revendication de la démocratie est la première étape d'un grand changement. Je vous souhaite, chers collègues, un agréable séjour à Toronto. Merci.
Thank you, Dr. Behnam. Well, as you know, Canada, at least formally, is bilingual. So we didn't provide translation for Dr. Behnam's address. However, for those of us who don't speak French, unfortunately, the text of the Dr. Behnam's talk will be provided later. Thank you very much. Now some logistical issues, and this is the last time that you see me here. Don't worry, you won't see my face many times here. First of all, I want to actually thank the generous support of Trudeau Foundation Fellowship Program for this conference, which supplemented by the fund from the Dean's Office, my Dean, who was here a minute ago, and Department of Equity Studies. Jennifer Petrov from the Trudeau Foundation is here, and I'm really grateful in this weather that you came down from Montreal just for one day. Thank you. I appreciate that.